normal that we've experienced in New Guinea recently, and there was a bay in Maine that had one, periodically here and there, especially around the Pacific Basin.
Nancy, I believe that the climatologists have been blaming that on storms that are occurring in the Pacific. Is that true?
No, I've noted, and that when they have these articles, they cannot point to a storm. They might say that after the fact because they have to say something. But if there's no quake that has been recorded, it's not a tsunami. If there's no big storm out there, then it's not storm related. They always have an excuse, like they'll have an excuse for the number of sinkholes that are occurring, New Jersey and Pennsylvania, big crevasses that open up in Mexico and Arizona. Why is the Afar Triangle, the Rift Valley in Africa ripping open? I mean, hundreds of feet long and several 100 feet wide, just a sudden rip. Why do we have internet cables being stretched and snapped around the Arabian Plate, that boot? This happened about, I think, in early 2007, and just again a couple of weeks ago that they had those. They say, it must have been a ship's anchor dragging across them. But the one that happened in 2007, there were breaks in Alexandria, Egypt, all the way around to Dubai, in several different places. Well, simultaneous ship's anchors.
Well, I guess the other question is then, these people that are coming up with these excuses for all these strange occurrences, do these people actually know what's going on, or are they just being told this by people that are above them?
They are being the low-level grunts are being told what to talk about, what is a verboten subject on the news, for instance. Don't say Planet X. Don't say, a presence in our solar system. Don't, what not to say. And like with the current Yellowstone jitters that we're having, there was a very interesting discussion somebody had with an analyst at University of Utah where they follow this quite closely. And when he asked about harmonic tremors, the man answered a different question, as though that question had never been posed. Are we having harmonic tremors? And he said, we're not recording any earthquakes right now. Well, that's not the same thing. So they are told, to dance around the subject, and newscasters that don't cooperate don't have a job for too long. There's a list of don't discuss this. And the people at the very top, the people, for instance, high up in the Bush administration or perhaps high up in Russia or the UK and the like, they know that we have this presence in the solar system. And as a matter of fact, sometime after the Iraq War, when Bush met with heads of state in France, there were some of these people came out of the meeting and looked like someone had hit them over the head with a 2x4. They were told there is a presence in the solar system. The only worry is panic in the public. Don't say anything, and bribe, intimidation, whatever it would take to get these heads of state to keep their mouths shut and make sure that their, TV stations or whatever did not carry on with warnings. They're told that it'll pass without a pole shift. That's what they were told.
Do you believe that, we got the inauguration coming up, Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Do you believe that he has been briefed by certain individuals, maybe within the Bush administration, regarding what's happening and what to expect? Do you think he has already been briefed on that?
Yeah, my understanding from the Zetas, and they put this into Zeta Talk too, is that it was his first and second CIA briefing. When he became the president-elect and he was being briefed, there was a day or two there in which he just looked very tired. And the Zetas were asked about this, and they stated that he had been told. He had heard the rumors, but he was told unequivocally, we have a presence in the inner solar system, and we're not sure just what it's going to do. These are the possibilities, best case, worst case, I suppose, that type of thing.
I recall when he gave his first press conference after being elected, and I think one of the, I can't recall her name, one of the journalists had asked him what was there anything important that you can share with us during your briefing with the Bush administration that you feel that the general public should know of? Well, he just went into this sort of beating around the bush kind of a thing about, just the general things, that an incoming president should know about. And she said, is there anything really important that we should know about? And he says, well, I do not care to elaborate on that right now.
That's right. It was that type of an answer, and the fact that he looks so tired, and he never does. He always looks like he's 22 years old and in the greatest health, which he is. In the greatest health, but he just looked like he hadn't slept, is what it amounted to.
Well, after 4 years in the White House, I'm sure he's not going to be looking like he's 22 years old anymore.
Probably not.
So,
yeah.
So what have the Zetas said with respect to global warming, Nancy?
They've said it's a cover-up, and it was decided some years ago, like actually MJ-12, which had contact with aliens since the time of Roswell, learned of, this pending passage, or they confirmed it, we might say, because so much prophecy points to something around this time, not just the Mayan calendar, which in fact has an imprecise date, and it is really a kind of a guess that it's December 21st, 2012, and the Zetas say, oh no, they didn't line it up right, and it comes before that time, before 2012. But Mother Shipton and the Bible, Book of Revelation, and the Islamic imams and or hadiths rather, the hadiths, they all speak of this time and the world kind of wobbling around, and of course great upheavals, mountains being built, and huge tidal waves, and much death, and hailstorms, and etc. If you put it all together, there can obviously something's coming. So, and our Earth's geology speaks of this. It's recorded so clearly that 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, the oceans of the world, approximately 3,500, 3,600 years ago, per scientists, the oceans of the world dropped 16 to 20 feet, around the world. And they determined this by the dust and the interaction of the ocean, etc., with the beaches, high beaches and low beaches. So where did that water go? And I could go on, but the last of the woolly mammoths disappeared, estimated 3,800 years ago, died off. Well, you can go back like that, 7,200, 10,008, etc., and you can find unusually cataclysmic evidence. So Emanuel Velikovsky recorded this beautifully in his book, particularly Earth in Upheaval. If you can get your hands on this, folks, and read this, you will be a believer that something is around the corner.
Now that's called Earth in Upheaval?
Earth in Upheaval by Emanuel Velikovsky, V-E-L, Velikovsky. Yeah, so global warming was determined to be one of the excuses given, and blaming the sun was going to be another. So everybody got out there and said, oh, the weather irregularities and all this stuff is because of global warming. Well, of course, it's all proceeding on a track that is outside of their models. Their models say, a 2-degree increase in 50 years, and then this will happen, and it's like, woo, the melting poles and the melting glaciers. Why are they melting? They're melting from the bottom up. Warm air doesn't cause that. A couple degree change will not cause that. Warm air will cause more air turbulence. Heat rises, doesn't sink.
Yeah, and Lancy, it's so amazing when you think of how fast that this is occurring,
Right.
10 years ago, we weren't talking about the poles melting.
Right.
Now in the last couple of years, scientists are so alarmed by what's occurring that they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they claim they don't know what's going on, and probably a lot of them don't. And in the matter of the cover-up, the fewer people informed, the better. So they start out with this clutch of people, perhaps 2,000 or so around the world that knew about this, very wealthy people and very politically, Herbert Bush, etc., Putin, these levels of people, they know. And then they have to inform a few other people, but they generally say there's a presence in our solar system, but it's going to pass. What we got to worry about is panic in the public, so we might have high tides and a few more earthquakes, but just hang tight. And meanwhile, here's your bribe, intimidation, whatever, or assassination if necessary. So